We're having a little bit of trouble with Frank's audio, so allow me to introduce the show. Everybody, I'm Gary Groob. Welcome to NLL Lacrosse Talk on Spanglish World Network, seen on Zingo TV channel 249 and 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, please make sure to rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, also available on all smart TVs 2016 and above. Now on NLL Lacrosse Talk, allow me to introduce our guest this week, Josh Medeiros. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Gary.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. Frank, have you got your audio sorted out? I guess not. All right. Our first question that we ask everybody who comes on the show is, how did you get involved in lacrosse? What got you to pick up a stick?
Honestly, it was I think I was around 3 or 4 years old, and I saw it playing on my grandparents' TV one day when I was hanging over at the house, and it was a Toronto Rock game on TSN, and I fell in love instantly. Like, I immediately called my parents over and told them like I want to play this sport. Like, just like the physicality and speed like really intrigued me. So it was a quick trip to the sign-up office shortly after that to get me signed up and ready to go.
Now, you grew up in Brampton, which at that time especially was a hotbed of lacrosse. And going in into Memorial and the rest of that, and talk about your first memories of going in there and just having a look around and, you know, this is what I want to do.
It was really something special. I mean, I've met someone like guys that I'm still close to this day. Like, I'm 27 years old now, and I started playing in Brampton when I was 4. So guys like Connor McClelland and Travis Burton and Jeff Pete, like we all played lacrosse together pretty much every year from the time that we were 4 years old, going into Memorial week in, week out, maybe a couple different rinks mixed in around Brampton. There's so many around here, but it was just it's something that I could always take my mind away, like whether I was having problems at school when I was younger or anything. Like, I knew that going to lacrosse was gonna always put a smile on my face.
Now, you're watching these guys, you're watching your heroes, and now you're working with them. Now, talk about just, you know, after the starstruckness goes away again as a young boy, now you're learning from them. How easy was it to get messages from them?
It was honestly pretty easy. Like, going in there as a 24-year-old, like into the league at my first year, like all I kind of ever wanted to do was just kind of to learn to be able to become the best. And the guys have been nothing but great. Even coaches like Steve Toll and Tracy Kleski, like they've been nothing but supportive of me and patient with me a little bit at times too, where they know that I'm still kind of young and like still being able to mold me was always good. And I think even like Dan Dietz been a coach with me since I was 4 years old, and he was on my bench the first year in the NLL. So it was a really easy transition being able to like come up playing with him for so many years that I know what's expected of me, and just being able to look forward to the guys in the room week in and week out, always there helping me.
Right. Now, when you got to your first training camp, NLL, was it what you expected?
I mean, even in my first training camp, we had 2 weeks of like a rookie camp in Panther City, 2 full weekends back to back with 30, 40 guys, like all trying to make names for themselves, and like it was a grind of a weekend. Like a couple of the guys on the team now, like me and Dylan Hudgestone, still kind of joke about it, how we went 8 weekends in a row of intense training camp and guys in there like really working their balls off to try to make that team, because obviously it was kind of a new team and a new organization, and a lot of kids out there trying to make a name for themselves, and even veteran guys too that are just trying to come out just to be able to show that they had something. It was a battle. Like, we were doing Friday practice, Saturday 2 games, Sunday practice, back-to-back weekends, at going 100 miles an hour, and it was. I try to prepare myself as best as I can, but you're only as prepared until you get there, and it's just a whole different ball game.
Sure. I'll talk about Panther City in its own right. Obviously, people have seen the arena isn't full, but how about the culture there, the community? I know
The community's
a lot of people are interested in it. Go ahead.
the community's been nothing but welcoming us with open arms. Like we've gone to a couple communities where we were packaging food for the less fortunate and going and doing gift drives to people less fortunate too, and they've been nothing but welcoming. I mean, it's hard. It's a tough place to put the team when obviously Bucks across in the states isn't the biggest market, especially more in the down south area. But even like the places that we go just to show face and whatnot, they've been nothing but supportive, and they're always there to try to talk to us and try to learn more about what we do, and that's kind of what we're there for. Is happy to help people try to teach a new sport to somebody else that doesn't really
Right.
know too much about it.
Right now, Brampton's got a lot of things, but I don't ever see 10-gallon hats and spurs and stuff like that. Talk about a Brampton kid get wind up in Texas, and you're looking around going, "What did I get myself into here?"
Yeah, there's a couple Brampton guys on our team as well, so we kind of we're able to kind of go through it together. Uh, it I personally love it. I love the weather down there too. The atmosphere. Like I listen to country music as well. I've been to my share of Boots and Hearts festivals, so I kind of into a little bit of the country vibe as well. So, but even when my parents come down too, like my parents don't know anything about country, and they absolutely fell in love with the town and the old Fort Worth Stockyards is usually a frequent place that we like to visit when we're there on the road. So, but no, it's been awesome.
Best barbecue you can find too, probably.
Oh yeah, unbelievable.
All right. Now, as you noticed, I put on one of the vintage Excelsior's jerseys. This was actually from your Minto Cup run. I want to talk about the organization from basically from junior onward through your career. You came in a great time as a junior. The team with McClellan, Sellers, Teat, Peterson, Orleman, Biles, Gibson, yourself, all NLLers, and the cream rises to the top. That team, 2017, was something else. And I want to talk about that season. Then we'll get into the playoffs and all the insanity that went on with that.
Uh, that that year was it was pretty fun. I mean, it was a lot of kids that even the guys a year older than me, like we all kind of grew up playing together, like all of our lives with the Wiedemans and Van Sheppen, and then myself, McClellan, Jeff, Groob. So I think just like the chemistry that we all had, like knowing that we've been playing lacrosse together for almost 21 years now, um, that we were able to kind of do something special with that year. It was obviously awesome. We got the turf that year down too. Like we were all really excited showing up to Memorial every week, knowing that our arena was looking awesome and we had fans. We all kind of banded together to try to build something. I mean, it was cut a little bit short at the end, obviously, with probably one of the most intense playoff series that I've ever played in, and that I probably will ever play in. But I think just the guys in the room and the coaching staff just made it so much better, knowing that we knew that we wanted to go to war for each other every single game to eventually achieve a goal.
Right, right. That season in itself, I know Memorial itself was jammed through Minto and through the playoffs. It was just it was a nut house. But that season, the missing piece and the finishing piece was getting Orleman in the trade. I think Stephen,
Yeah.
because you guys became just unbeatable.
Yeah, it wasn't even to take anything away from our starting goalie Tyler Smith, who was one of the original five with me, Teeter, McClellan, and Trav that have been playing together every year. It's just when it came down to it at the end, it's just that our missing piece was that goalie, and obviously picking up Orleman was huge. But even with Orleman coming in, whenever Tyler Smith had to step into the cage, like we never had any doubts, and we never didn't trust him at all. We just continued to play our game because we knew that we had the two best goalies in the league behind us.
Right, because if you look at that team, And you look at it and put it now in the NLL. If you put that team together, you have an all-star team, bar none.
Yeah.
Bar none.
Yeah, it's always pretty nice when you get to suit up against them. I mean, obviously, we've been friends for so many years, but the competitive nature is obviously still there. We still want to beat the other one for sure.
Now let's talk about the playoffs in that year in 2017. This was the first time Brampton said, "No, we don't want the because you had the Minto, you had a buy into the Minto Cup." He said, "No, we're going to win our way in there," and all the craziness started before game one. Before game one,
Yeah,
with a brawl.
Yeah, that was. I remember going into the dressing room like just shortly, kind of warm up was kind of going on. It was kind of getting a little intense. We kind of thought something was going to happen. It was kind of getting late into the warm up, and I remember going down into the dressing room, and probably about 35 seconds later, I got Kevin Dance running into the locker room yelling at us to get the hell out there, and just. When I ran out on the floor and saw what was going on, it was just something that you could never picture in your life. I mean, you got guys and coaching staff and everybody just gloves and helmets scattered all over the place, guys bleeding from their face, and it was like a war that just went on the floor, and have only been here for about 15, 25 minutes. Like, we still got to play a whole damn game. And then eventually, and with the stuff with the police and coming into our dressing room and arresting one of our guys, it was just something out of a movie that you couldn't make up. And it was a crappy feeling too, knowing that we just had one of our guys taken away in cuffs in the middle of a game. We still got to go back out there and play another 2 periods. It was madness, and I don't think there's going to be another series that could top that ever again. It was ridiculous.
Well, yeah, the intensity kept right up through the series too. I think it was game 4 in Mimico, and it just, you could tell. I was there, and you could tell throughout the evening, refs were losing control of the game. Things were getting chippier and chippier and chippier, and it finally blew up in the 3rd period.
Yeah.
And I think it's Tyler and a few others that just lost it with the fans. With the fans didn't help it either, too, because it incited every move was wild.
I think that was even the game when the Mimico Rats behind the net broke the glass after when they won too. So man, it was but I honestly wouldn't have it any other way. Like, it was one of the most fun and the biggest experience that I've had in this game was playing that whole series. Obviously, it didn't turn out the way we wanted to. Like, obviously, a win would have been awesome, but just like the atmosphere and the fans and the back and forth, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah, because even game 5 in Memorial, there wasn't a seat to be had. Like, you don't see this in junior. There was not. You couldn't get even. I was lucky to be media in there, but you couldn't move in there at all, and it was a who's who. And I remember seeing Bell in there. I remember seeing Latrell Harris and Johnny Marie. All these guys were in there watching junior lacrosse.
Yeah. It was. I applaud all those fans too. It definitely wasn't cold in that arena. Like, it was in the middle of August, probably 32 degrees, and you're standing shoulder to shoulder with people just to come and watch one of the greatest series ever. So that was awesome.
Yeah. Right. Let's fast forward. We go into 2018, and this is the year for sure. And we got controversy right off the bat. Your GM gets suspended after berating referees in the dressing room. A few things went on along the way, but you guys persevere throughout the year. Again, the team is awesome. Just fantastic. You lose Teat. He goes to Netanya, being the first junior ever to play with the senior team.
Yeah.
And Clark Peterson picks up the reins. You all pick up the reins. You're beginning at transition starts to take form too. Yeah. How did that develop? That you were basically a stay-at-home defenseman, and all of a sudden, you're freewheeling it with the ball too.
I think obviously Jeff is our best player. He's the best player in the world, but we know obviously we were playing Mimico that first round too. So regardless if Jeff was there or not, we all knew that it wasn't going to happen again, and that series was ours to win. Another awesome series. went the distance as well. Went through 5 games, unbelievable lacrosse. But I think not having Jeff maybe also could have put some frowns on a couple of faces, and just kind of being able to trust one another and everybody else in the team, like regardless if Jeff wasn't there, but being able to trust every person that going up the front door, and hell, even trusting the D guys to kind of just start to push the ball up to create chances that maybe we haven't had the chance to create all season, because we know we got Jeff out there. We can kind of move the ball to him, move the ball to Clark, like it's going to be all right. But being able to like just kind of have to go ahead to start pushing the ball and try to get up the floor to create what we can, it was obviously a big self-esteem booster. Being able to trust us, and we had no worries whatsoever either. Like we knew that we weren't letting Mimico take over again, and that was going to be our series to win.
Right. You get teed back, and you walk over the beaches. This team is just an absolute juggernaut at this point. And you've got your confidence in transition, which, we've looked now over the years and see that the trajectory is just straight upward. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But you get through them. You're on your way to the Minto. Off into Calgary you go, and we get controversy again. And I remember game one well. I was here. I wanted to get out there, couldn't get out there, but I remember watching it, and all night long, liberties being taken on Jeff all night long.
Yeah.
And Jeff's mild-mannered, but you could see it eventually getting to him that there wasn't a call, nothing. And then, of course, near the end of the game, things boil over.
Yeah. What a disaster that was. I mean, but once again, regardless of what happened, Jeff allegedly getting suspended, we had no problem.
Anybody who knows how mild-mannered he is. So
I've played with him for 15, 20 years. I've never even heard him chirp at somebody ever in my life. So the fact that what was said that he said, it was kind of just astonishing. But regardless, we didn't have him in round one against Mimico. There was no fear on our eyes. Like we had no issues. We trust everybody in the dressing room to get the job done, and regardless if he's there or not, we're going to try to do whatever we can to get the win.
Right. Now you guys played great. You didn't come out on top on it, but the team looked good. And until Orleman went down with an injury, yeah, you guys really looked like you were ready to roll on it. But it is what it is. We go into 2019, and you make it up to the majors. And this is the first time in years that the Brampton Major Excelsiors are making noise. This team looks great because all the juniors that have graduated upward, all from the program, everybody from the program, no outsiders, and you just pick up where you left off in junior. And this was an exciting team to watch. I don't think I missed a game, home or away, during the year. This was just great lacrosse to watch. Yeah,
that was an awesome year. It gave me a chance to just play with guys. Like I played my first couple years of junior and junior B, so I didn't have a chance to play with the Stellars and the Bennetts and the Caputos and stuff. So when I went to junior, it was kind of awesome that it's kind of guys that I've been watching from the outside when I was watching the junior A games, and those guys were there. So it was kind of awesome to go and get to play with them, and being able to, like, that's the year when Peterborough had their chance at their run, and then playing against like Mark Matthews and the Evans and those guys that I've been watching my whole life. It was something special. I mean, I live 2 minutes from Memorial, living 2 minutes from Memorial and always going to their major games and watching. It was kind of a full circle moment, being able to suit up for the team and having all my family there watching me this time instead of kind of just watching like my idols.
Right. That's kind of what I was getting at before, is just the surreal feeling of being in the crowd, and now you're looking at the crowd, and away you go. And playing aggressive style too. Some great aggressive style, which really all right. Weird audio. Let's talk about the Excelsiors and the move. the ridiculousness of the Owen Sound thing, which all it did, like we said off air, was really divide Brampton lacrosse, because it was really a tight knit community, and I'm glad to see it back now, and everybody's more or less gotten along again. But you went to Owen Sound for 1 year just to get reps because there was no Brampton lacrosse. So talk about driving 2 hours to go and play a game, and another 2 hours
Yeah.
back just to.
Well, at least there was only one reason why I decided to play for Owen Sound that one summer. Was because that was kind of the post-COVID, and we were all playing out of the Oakville Toronto Rock Center. So I didn't really, if there was a chance where I was having to drive into Owen Sound, there's no chance that I was playing. It was just after COVID and just before NLL training camp was starting, and obviously my rights were still going to be in Brampton. So I actually had a conversation with Dan about, and he was obviously coaching in Panther City, if it was a good idea that I even try to play this Owen Sound thing, and just kind of not. I didn't really want to get into the middle of everything, but he told me, like,
Right.
since all the games are playing at the track and it's kind of just for this one summer, like, go ahead and play. Like, I needed to get reps in before going to camp. I didn't want to go in not having played lacrosse in 4 years.
Sure. Now, I remember talking to Dan because he had actually taken an Atlas jersey that I had from Jeff and took it with him. But when I went up to meet with him, he had mentioned that he had talked to you, and just to get some reps in before training camp. Yeah.
That's all it was.
He was very appreciative that you reached out. So
yeah,
I
didn't want to get too involved into all that stuff, but once he gave me the go ahead, it was obviously a no brainer to just go and suit up and play. And I think it benefited me tremendously, like, because there was obviously guys going into camp that probably hadn't picked up a stick in years, and they were just kind of going cold to the training camp. So it was awesome that I had the chance to get some reps in before going.
Right. That was a pretty cool tournament too, because that was just after the 2-week junior whirlwind. But this thing ran a few more weeks than that. But this is, everybody was starved for lacrosse after a year and a half or 2 years without it because of this COVID stuff. People were just clamoring to get in there to watch lacrosse, especially on both rinks as track is, right?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Me,
my brother
would have to win.
Yeah,
me, I'd have to win game on the phone and watch the other one live.
Yeah, I was there for a couple weeks straight. My brother was playing in the junior Brampton tournament before that, so being able to just see that before was even more of a no-brainer for me to go and play. Like, I just want to go out there and play right now with these guys, but I guess the majors will do.
Absolutely. Now, you played a couple of years with Arena Lacrosse, and Arena Lacrosse to me is a fantastic thing. I'm the media guy for them as well, and I love this thing. I love what Paul has done with it, and in my eyes, it's to get the player not only to be professional on the floor, but everything to do it off the floor. And once you make it, to stay there, because getting up there is one thing. To stay there and know what to do and how to handle yourself is a totally different thing. The coaching, the plays, everything is the same rule wise. Talk about your time there and how it helped develop you to your next step.
So it was actually Travis Burke was the one that kind of talked me into coming to playing, since I was done school over here. I didn't really have anything to do in the winters, so he kind of convinced me to come and play. And I think that was right after my junior, so I was still only 21, 22 when I first started. And when you're going to play against men, finally, like I was right after junior, so it was just before my first major summer. So being able to kind of get there and playing against the men and seeing the speed of the game and still the physicality and actually taking cross checks from grown men, they hurt a little bit more than when they do in junior. So I think having that early transition into the speed and the physicality of the game definitely helped me get to major. And then I was a little bit more out of shape back then. I didn't really take care of my body too much, so I was kind of playing there. Kind of knew I could maybe have a chance of making an NLL team if I kind of got in shape. Didn't really care until Dan kind of gave me the call for Panther City. But staying in the ALL and being able to play lacrosse all year round was something that I can't stress enough about. If you're a person that maybe hasn't finished junior, hasn't gotten a chance on an NLL team, like don't just kind of give up. Like there's the ALL is a great option to be able to keep your stick in your hand and get your looks too, because there's people watching. Like I played in there for 4 years. Another guy on our team, Dylan Hutchison, played in there for 4 years, and like we were all products of like a great example of playing in the ALL from not making it and then eventually working your way up to the big league.
Right. I think the ALL's put something like 30 guys in the NLL. What better way to have a team that's gone down with somebody gone down with injury, or somebody can't play anymore, or one reason or another, and have somebody who's in game shape, ready to go, who's primed and ready and same mindset, everything.
Yeah,
So yeah, it makes 1,000,000% sense of that. And also the games are absolutely fantastic to watch, because the level, the caliber, you got guys who have come down from the NLL, guys who are just about ready to make the NLL, guys who are in the middle trying to learn, and putting that all together. It's intense play.
Yeah, I still go and catch a couple of games here and there. Whenever I'm home on the weekend, my brother plays in the Brampton ALL team. So whenever I get an off weekend, I always try to go and support him and kind of watch him play a little bit. There's still some guys I know that are playing there, so it's always good to see their face too.
Absolutely. Now, a little known fact is you got signed to the Buffalo practice squad when 2017. So you were one of those guys I'm talking about that ready and off you go just in case something happened.
Yeah.
Talk about your mindset. This is your first kick into the NLL, granted as practice roster, and what you're thinking when Buffalo comes knocking. Here you are in the ALL at.
Yeah, that one was kind of came out of nowhere. It was kind of right at the cusp of the deadline to sign guys, like just before they were going to go on their playoff run. And it was tough. I mean, I wasn't in the best of shape either. They obviously took a chance on me, even though just being practice roster. But that was definitely a big moment to kind of just sit back and just kind of soak everything in and just learn as much as I can in the short amount of time that I was there. So that way I kind of figured I would have been back in the ALL for the following winter. Just to be able to pick up on things and like small little things that the pros kind of know, little tricks to be able to give myself a better chance at maybe next year, maybe a different team giving me a call regardless of who it was. But just being able to kind of learn and knowing that once I got there, I kind of already had an idea of what was expected of me and what was expected of us as players for the future.
Right. Now, Bob Hamley signs you as a free agent in 2021. What was expected of you? What did he tell you when he called you and said, "Listen, we're going to put you on the roster. This is what we need."
He was kind of giving me the go ahead already to kind of push the ball on transition. He had seen me in a couple of games in that COVID major season at the track, and I had a pretty good little summer there. And then he kind of, I think it was also the aggression on my side too, where I have that I guess gift, if you will, to be able to get under opposing players' skin and still kind of be able to keep my head in the game, to be able to kind of get up the floor and help out the old guys. But it was not. He didn't expect the world of me. He didn't expect me to perform a miracle. He just kind of told me that the spot is there for you to be who you are, is to be physical, get the floor up the ball, take your shots when you are, and just kind of to be that vocal piece out the back door.
Right. Now, lots of people have opinions on Tracy Glusky. Most of them are fantastic. Talk about working with him and playing for him.
He's quite the character. You kind of can never really understand what comes out of his mouth. He's got that Peterborough accent going on. His X's and O's on the chalkboard might be a little off, and they might be a bunch of zigzags kind of scribbled all over there. But Tracy's been nothing but almost like a father figure to us. Like, he's always there to kind of to help us, to kind of steer us towards in the right direction, but he's also there to kind of put you back into your place if something's not going right or you're not playing the way that you should be. He's not going to be scared to let you know that. Either figure it the hell out or have a seat on the bench. And I've always kind of been the player too that I tend to sometimes get a little comfortable and sometimes just kind of get a kick in the ass from the back to remind you, hey, you're not the greatest yet. Just kind of put your head down and keep working, and good things are going to happen.
Right. Right. Now, when you get there, you have some familiar faces. We talked already about Dan Teed as your defensive coach, but you have Phil Caputo on the team. You have Connor Sellers. So there's a few players to help you acclimate and get comfortable there. How important is that to have somebody there in your corner?
It was honestly awesome. Like, I'd never done like the whole traveling aspect of being an NLL player. It was kind of new to me as well. So like Phil's my roommate. He works with my younger brother too. So I've known Phil for quite some time, and Sellers has been another awesome guy, especially Sellers being at the DN too, to kind of like we sit beside each other in the dressing room, me, Sellers, and Caputo. So being able to have veteran guys that have been in the league for almost 10 years now to kind of coach you through and to help you and answer any questions. They've been nothing but the best, and they're my best friends right now. So we were at Sellers' wedding last year, and no, they've been awesome, and I can't thank them enough.
Right. Now, Teed leaves, and Stevie Toll comes in. Talk about playing for Toll.
It's loud, isn't it? Yeah, he's something special. I mean, sometimes the fans standing behind him are kind of laughing a little bit at when he's kind of blowing a gasket and his spit's flying around all over the place. But Toller's like such a player's coach, and he's just whatever you think might be happening out on the floor, as long as you share it to him. Like, if you want to try something, Toller has no problem in listening to you, and if it's not working his way, he's always open to trying it somebody else's way. And he's been a big contributor as to why I've kind of been having the seasons that I have been. Is he's kind of been that transition player of the year previously. He's done it all. He kind of knows how to approach players like myself that maybe are like playing deep and like have a little bit of an offensive edge onto them too. So he's been a huge help.
Right. Now, you hit 20 goals. That's an amazing achievement, especially as a D-man. There's offensive guys that aren't hitting 20 goals. 20 goals is a hell of an achievement. Talk about that season, and everything is clicking. Like, every year, Panther City is getting better and better and better. And, again, your transition thing is a huge part of it. I love transition because it keeps everybody on their toes. Nobody can just sit back and, saunter onto the floor. That's usually when penalties are called. And when your transition game is working, everybody's all up in arms. Nobody's comfortable. So just talk about that and how it worked. And some of the, you had some just amazing highlight reel goals too. And where did you learn all that?
I think, like, I could not have done that without my teammates and obviously my coaching staff as well. Like, there were some games where we were only dressing 6-0 guys and 11D guys. So you kind of give a couple of the more offensive-minded defensemen to kind of be able to push the ball and stay in play when we only got 6-0 guys. 5 of them are going every shift. They can't do it every single time. They're going to get gassed. So kind of getting that green light to kind of push the ball and move up the floor was something that all I could ever ask for. So, and then Nicky Damoud in the back too, like, he was always we were always having conversations about whenever he was smothering up the ball where he wants me to run to so that he can kind of airmail the ball out there to kind of let me run into it. He was also a big, when you got a goalie that can throw the ball like he can, like, it's a huge help in it. It makes it so much easier on us as defensemen, not having to worry about grabbing the ball from the goalie, but knowing that he's going to be there to be able to make that outlet. And I want to say some of it was probably a bit of luck as well. Like, it almost seemed like everything that I was shooting just kind of happened to be falling in the net. I mean, I'm not going to complain, but it was definitely maybe a little bit of luck on my side for a couple of those ones. But
that'd be good to be lucky.
Even the offensive guys too, like talking to like Caputo and Will Malcolm, like when I'm running up the floor and I take those shots, maybe a little bit further out than they should. But they have full trust in me to be able to take those shots, and they respect my decisions when I'm running up there with the ball.
Right. Now, you mentioned Nick Damoud. You played with him in junior, or played against him in junior. Yeah. Did you realize how good a goalie he was in junior as he is now? Because he's spectacular.
Yeah, honestly, I had no idea. Nicky is 2 years younger than me, so I was already in junior for a couple years before he'd even got there. But then coming into our first year in the league, it was just like crazy what such a young goalie was capable of doing, and he's an awesome guy, and it's just onwards and upwards for him. Like I have full confidence in him. He's going to be a goalie of the year one of these years.
Yeah, I agree. Every year, Panther City raises the bar for itself. The first year, with a big run, and almost make the playoffs. In fact, it was heart-wrenching watching not make the playoffs. The next year, you're in the playoffs and looking good and looking like you belong. The bar's set pretty high. This team is primed to make a lot of noise. Guys like Donvo, Caputo, yourself, Callum Crawford, Hossack, Demuth in net. What's the atmosphere? What's the feeling now? Like, I'm sure you guys have your Zoom meetings throughout the summer to get ready, especially we're heading into the soon September, and then bang, off we go.
Yeah. The guys, like we have a big group chat too. Like we all kind of keep in touch, and we're all just kind of still kind of making fun of guys like that in the group chat. So the vibes are always got to be pretty high with this group. Like everyone on our team just kind of loves being together and loves each other so much that talking to guys in the group and showing up to the rink, it doesn't become a job at that point. It becomes enjoyable, and knowing that we have guys that are willing to kind of put their life on the line for each other and take care of one another. There's no feeling like it, and it's such a close-knit group that it's unbelievable to watch sometimes the things that we do out on the floor, like kind of knowing where each other are, and then the things off the floor, like there's always guys wanting to kind of, we don't really have any cliques on our team. It's kind of like we all hang out as one, and we all go out as one. And,
right.
I'd rather never wouldn't have it any other way.
Right. I agree. And this team, especially the state of the league right now, where there's so much parity, is primed and ready to really be in a conversation, to be in the upper echelon. There's no divisions anymore, but the upper echelon of the league in itself, because easily it's younger than a lot of teams. It's as experienced as a lot of teams, and is on the cusp of doing something really, really great. There must be a real great vibe about this throughout everybody in there.
Yeah, 100%. We're ready to take on the world, and we're not scared of anybody. We're ready to make a name for ourselves.
Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about the state of the union of the league, being a player in there, and over the couple of years that you've been in there, even in these few years, the league has gotten stronger and stronger and stronger. I had Reed Reinhold on not long ago, and this is probably the best relationship owners and players have had ever since this league's inception. And are we looking at somewhere down the road that this becoming a full-time gig?
I would think that would be the plan. I mean, I think it was our old commissioner that kind of said that he was a part of the Major League Soccer back then, and he was kind of explaining what their vision was, is kind of once the league kind of hit 20 to 30 teams, that kind of the whole league kind of just boomed. And now instead of having, like, he was a backup goalie, of him only making $200 a game, now when you look at it now, once the league hit 30 teams, you got backup goalies that are probably making like $60,000, $70,000 a year. So I think hopefully, not sure on a timeline, maybe by the time that I'm retired and kind of out of the league, that it may not be a full-time gig, but I think the ultimate goal is to make this league is one of the top four, like the NBA, the NHL, the MLB, and the NFL, to be just like them and up there and competing with them, and being a full-time league with full-time salaries.
Right. Now, I had Sakavitz on the show as well, and we talked about where the league is now is probably where the NHL was mid-70s to the end of the 70s, in which it was on the cusp of doing something really big. But TV was in place and this was in place now, but it hadn't had that big boom of the 80s. And that's about where we're at now, which leads me, of course, into the next thing of Olympics. Talk about your thoughts about, 4 years' time, it goes in the Olympics finally for the first time in years. Now you get 280 more countries to watch. It doesn't matter what form. We'll talk about the sixes in a minute, but it doesn't matter what form, just to get them to watch. And, I don't know anybody who's looked at the game, but no, I don't like it.
Yeah. I think that's going to be awesome. I think finally it being there speaks a lot of volume. Like Canada or lacrosse is Canada's national sport, and the fact that it hasn't been there and God knows how long is kind of a bit disgraceful. But at least now having it there, we're able to show the people of the world why it's one of the greatest games on earth and why it should never have been taken away out of the Olympics.
Right. Now, the version of sixes that they want to put in the Olympics, what's your opinion on that? Have you had a chance to play it?
I know I haven't had a chance to play it. I don't really get a chance to play too much field lacrosse anymore. But judging from what I have saw on TV and stuff, it's pretty fast. It's I guess just kind of like a hybrid between field and box. But I think it'll do well. I think the crowd's going to react pretty good to it, just like the fast-paced aspect of it and all the goal scoring and stuff like that. There's not as much physicality in it as you would hope, but it's an in for right now, and I think that's good enough for me.
Yeah, and the other thing, of course, the 6x6 net. Maybe we may get a 4x4 net and give the goalies a little bit of a chance, so we don't get 100 to a 97 score.
Yeah,
Mind you, everybody wants to see
chest
scoring.
pad on and leg pads on as well. I'm just call it box.
I love that idea myself. I think that's a great idea. Make it a box goalie with a box net and all the other little aspects. I think that's a fantastic idea. And again, they have 4 years to tinker with it. And the PLL, God bless their souls for putting out that tournament every February to kind of tinker with it a little bit here and there, because being in LA, they'll have the Hollywood guys learning all the angles and how to shoot it the best. So we're going to get the best form of this by the time the Olympics roll around. Now, what about the traditionalists who talk about, well, that's not the way the game was, and we want to do it. To me, as long as we get some eyes on there, we can always teach tradition after they're watching.
For sure. Yeah, I think it's a good way to kind of just get even newcomers just kind of get their eye on it, and then once they're hooked, then we can kind of expand from there.
Right. It's also, you have a lot of countries that don't have, like here in Canada and the U.S., hockey arenas where we have boards and we have other things. So they would have to manufacture and build it and do whatever to box. So to have it just in a shorter field where they only need to find 12 players to have a game, hey, what a great way to get them started and get their toe dipped.
Yeah, perfect.
Now, a lot of players talk about off-season and the season that they just had and what they're looking at to improve. Is there anything in particular or particulars that you've been looking at this summer to try and, get on the go? So, look out, here comes Medeiros.
Yeah, I think playing the summer season obviously really helped me just kind of keep my stick in my hand and be able to kind of retool or kind of retinker with what I got going on the floor. But I think off the floor, just kind of trying to get myself in a little bit better shape. I mean, I'm obviously not in the worst shape either, but just kind of all the guys that are coming into the league, they're all so big and so strong and fast now that I'm getting a little older now. I'm on 27, so just kind of being able to get in a little bit better shape for the new kids that are coming in. And obviously my goal scoring kind of dipped down a little bit from last year. So I think this kind of summer I was trying to push the ball as much as I can, obviously being smart about it as well, but still being able to get my chances and to kind of keep toying and tinkering with how I'm shooting, where I'm shooting, and kind of that kind of thing.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about this year's Excelsiors, because I got a chance to watch them in a few places, and I love the defense. Defense looked great. Young team, so young mistakes offensively, which sometimes cost you. But there were a lot of games where it was just low single digits. It'd be a 7-6 game. It'd be the 7-4 game. These weren't the traditional. It's a 14-10 game. Which is odd, especially in summer ball. But really good defense. Johnson and net was great this year.
Will was awesome in net. kind of tough. He got hurt at the end of the season just before playoffs, their first game of playoffs. So it was tough to see him go. But it's just kind of next man up mentality. We had Caleb and another junior call up at net, but our defense was just outstanding. Like so much NLL caliber defense going out the back door and kind of to manage it that way. Like Wiedemann, Borgatti, McClellan, Jeremy Searle, Matt Bennett came back for the summer. Luke Van Scheppen was there with us, Seth and his brother Mark. It was just even the young guys playing on defense, like having guys like Wiedemann and McClellan and myself to kind of be there to kind of show them the ropes and kind of teach them how other NLL players around the league are going to be in their intentions and just try to help them as much as that we could. But our defense was just stellar, and it was obviously once again the chemistry with all of us playing together growing up. And kind of knowing how we want to play, knowing how Dan and Diesel want us to play, like it was effortless. It was just easy. It was easy communication, and the guys have just been awesome. Our offense struggled a bit. We had a couple new guys coming in from the States. I really hadn't even played box before either, so it was definitely a learning experience and teaching experience for a good chunk of us on the team. But it wasn't the greatest summer that we had, but it's only onwards and upwards from here on out.
Again, it's a young team, and you got a couple of real spark plugs too that are going to be really great scorers once they get their feet wet. Let's talk about your position though. Now you've gone from being the one who is being coached to you are now one of the seasoned guys, both NLL and MSL. And what's expected of you as a leader now on the team?
I think mostly with the majors, it was kind of like just kind of getting the kids' feet wet and kind of just showing them the ropes. I think more so in the NLL, like it's kind of the rookies that are coming in to kind of let the super vets be the vets, like the Sellers, the Hossicks, and the Burtons, to kind of let them lead us through the way. And then the younger guys that are kind of coming in, I've done it already, even starting last year, like kind of just taking the young guys in. Whatever, maybe it's even just grabbing lunch with them, like one of the game days, and just kind of talking to them, kind of showing them what the rookies kind of expected of, and just to let them know that if there's any questions or anything that they need help with, like, don't ever hesitate to ask, because that's what we're there for.
Right. What's next on the horizon for Josh Medeiros? Is there coaching in there? Are you already coaching? What's the next level after? Because you're a couple of years into playing. Hopefully, you have another 10 years in there. But what's looking towards the future here in lacrosse? Because we can't lose the great minds of lacrosse either, because that's what's going to get us to grow.
Yeah, I think eventually I'll probably get into the coaching. I mean, it's a little busy right now with obviously like still playing, and I don't have any kids either. So eventually, like once I start having kids, and I would love nothing more than just to kind of coach and start molding the minds of the youth from a young age to try to teach them good habits and to teach them to carry this game on.
Right. Now, do you spend a lot of time? I know you travel to Panther City, but do you spend a lot of time once you're there in there? And again, we're talking community, so I know they did a lot of field out there and not a lot of box. Is there more grabbing on now that maybe there's programs that you can do there?
Yeah, it's slowly even more south, like even into Oklahoma, like Callum Crawford one's a pretty good field lacrosse company out there. I know like a couple guys on our team, like Caputo and Ty Thompson, are already out there kind of helping him out with his field program that he's got going on. But I think the field is kind of picking up a little bit. I think they usually do a PLL weekend down in the Dallas-Fort Worth area as well, which seems to get a pretty good audience out too. So hopefully that is slowly starting to pick up. I mean, it's a little hard when I live here in Brampton still to be able to be down there and try to grow the community as much as I can, but at least I know to do my part when I'm there on the weekend.
Absolutely. Listen, I want to thank you. This went by like this. Playing this is your life. I wish you nothing but the best coming up for training camp and for a great season. I look forward to watching you throughout the year, and it's just up, and it's been a pleasure to watch you all the way from junior on upward. And and I'm always rooting for you.
Awesome. Thanks, Gary. I really appreciate the kind words, and thanks for having me on. Maybe I'll be back on in the near future.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was Josh Medeiros. This show can also be heard on Spanglish World Radio Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish Sports World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, live it. Until next Thursday at 4 p.m., I'm Gary Groob. Thanks for joining in. Keep a stick in your hands, everybody.